Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
So we're going to talk about the price increases because of COVID and probably now because of Ukraine as well. You said there's going to be losses at supermarkets, and prices are going up, etc.
Now, there's been an inquiry done by the Business Post, and it says from transport to sunflower oil, costs are soaring across the food industry. But with supermarkets unwilling to be the first to raise prices, suppliers are under impossible strain. That's the headline, and there's an example of it with the buying stuff. Now, there's two things here involved. When you're supplying supermarkets as a manufacturer, you're under constant pressure as regards prices, what you can charge them, as regards what they call LTAs, long-term agreements that they need, as regards advertising. First of all, is your product advertised on the media to make consumers aware? Then, if you promote your product in a store and they give you a bit of space or an end area, that you have to pay additional for that. There's a lot of additional costs when you're dealing with a supermarket monopoly. Now, the fact that electricity costs have skyrocketed, transport costs with the price of petrol, irrespective of the Ukraine, this is before anything about the Ukraine has come about.
So this is all related to COVID?
No, it's related to the cost, not at all. It's related to the cost of raw materials for manufacturers. The sunflower oil is increased by 300%, and a lot of them use that type of stuff in their food items, and so they're under pressure because they're not getting the price increase that they need. Don't forget, supermarkets are not very quick at paying. Doesn't matter what they say, they're not quick at
paying the supplier.
Paying the supplier, yes. Some of them can take quite a while, at least 3 months. And then you don't get your full amount because they're doing it. I had experience of dealing with them years ago when they only accounted for 15% of the overall market, but accounted for 99% of the problems. They were making demands that you couldn't possibly do. And I had a system in the company that I was sales manager for, that some of them paid a higher price than anyone because of their of the difficulties and the business of supplying them and their demands, so that at least it was covered. But there wasn't many companies like me, and in fact I got pressure then from on high, from the big group that I was part of, to sort of decrease the prices to these people, and yet I pointed out, look, it's uneconomical to deal with them this way. You've got to have a price that you're making something out of it, because these ones will cripple you.
So what's the solution?
The solution is very simple. That first of all, they should have never been allowed to take such a share of the market. Their share of the market should be limited to maximum 10%, as it is in other countries, believe it or not, in my time when I was travelling to these countries and on the export market. So I know a fair bit about this. And a lot of the other countries have 80% of the products on their shelves that are produced in that country. Now, we're the opposite. Most of our products is imported. Now, the only one that has, to my way of thinking, a good food policy and promote Irish is the SuperValu Central Group, Musgraves. To give them their due, they're the only one, and their supermarkets and central stores are owned by individuals. Although they are monopolies from the point of view of when you're dealing with them, you have to deal with them in the fact that they have a good percentage of the market. But at least they're owned by individuals, and that's a good thing. But the other ones are not. They're owned by shareholders, and they are pay lip service to this country. But the reality is that most of their products are produced abroad. And because of the tightness of these groups in the monopoly situation, they won't pass on prices. So suppliers, some are going to go out of business because they cannot be selling at a loss. You can't stay in business and do that. Some of them are going to lower the amounts that they have in their business. In other words, if it's say it's 500, whatever it is in a tin or in a packet or whatever it is, they will reduce it probably by 10, 15, 20%. In other words, to lower the cost, but then that might mean new machinery to account for that. That'd be more cost. So, but they'll have to do something, and the bigger manufacturers can do it. Don't forget, we had a lot of manufacturers in this country before the onslaught of these supermarket monopolies groups, and we had a lot of food, and they're no longer here. I did programs about it before, and this accounts then for the decline of the towns and villages, because if you haven't got family stores and the infrastructure, drapery stores, etc., there used to be 3 drapery stores in towns. Now there will be none.
Just enlighten people. Drapery is an old word. What does it mean?
Drapery, but that'd be men's clothes and women's clothes, and not just boutiques. It'd be a proper drapery store that would have for young people their first communion outfits, and then for teenagers clothes for them, and then for older folk, men and women, outfits for them, and of a good quality. But now some towns have none of those stores because of the fact that these other monopolies are getting their goods produced in sweatshops abroad, and so they're cheap and they undercut. You couldn't manufacture them here at the prices that they're selling them for. So that's not a good thing. What's the point of being in the EU if you're able to buy stuff from Bangladesh and all these sweatshops, where young people are abused in these factories? So this is something that a responsible government that wants to see towns rejuvenated, you've got to take action, and the only way to take action is to limit the share of the market that these other ones have now that's causing this problem. And that is to limit them to 10% of the share of the market, which is quite substantial. But they shouldn't have any more than that, so that the independent trade and the ordinary entrepreneur can compete. And so that therefore they might have to get rid of some of their stores, but that instead of them getting rid of them and turning them into whatever else, that ordinary independent people may be able to take them over and give local employment and give and produce and stock Irish-made products, because Irish-made products are declining in the food industry, and really we have a great country here for agricultural produce, the greenest nearly in the world because of our marvellous climate. You go to other countries and you have to have stuff in sun house and all to try and grow them, or in water coming from somewhere, the sea or something, and filtered to try and irrigate your stuff. They've no water. We have plenty of water here. You often be drowned of going about.
Thank you very much, John.
You're welcome.